Hey everyone, and welcome to another Heroes of the Grid Ranger video. Today I'm continuing my RPM coverage with Ziggy Grover, the fourth member of the RPM team. Going through Ziggy's combat deck, he has 3 3-shield cards, 4 2-shield cards, and 3 1-shield cards. Starting with his character ability, it is Erratic Teleportation. Its ability says, at any time you may discard 1 card from your hand to move your figure to an outer location of your choice. You may use this ability in battles you are not participating in. So right off the bat, you can see Ziggy is a very unique ranger in that he can move to any location provided you pay the cost of discarding a card. And it doesn't even necessarily have to be to a location that's in the middle of a battle. He can go to a place maybe to get ready for the next round for deployments, or maybe to set up for the next battle, whatever you want to do. And his deck kind of plays into his whole teleportation shtick. And you'll see what I mean when we start talking about them. So the first card in his combat deck is Trickster, a 0-cost reaction card with 1 shield for defense. Its ability says, play this card when any ranger reveals a card for defense. That ranger may swap the revealed card with another card in their hand. So this is a kind of a basic type, well, not really a basic card, but this is a very useful card. Let's say one of the rangers is taking damage and they reveal a 1 shield card, and they don't want to lose that 1 shield card. You can say, hey, I'll play tricks, you as Ziggy, you can play your Trickster card here, and so that way they can swap the card that they just revealed with perhaps a 3-shield card in their hand. So not only would they get the card that they wanted into their hand, that 3-shield card might be enough to actually, that 3-shield might be more than the damage they're taking, and so it could go to the bottom of their deck and they won't lose any cards. It's a very good, very helpful ability to have, and kind of plays into his teleportation. You're moving cards from one location to another. You're swapping positions of 2 cards. His next card is Sneak Attack, a 0-cost reaction card with 2 shields for defense. Its ability says, play this card after another ranger performs a maneuver to immediately perform an attack with 2 dice. So this card, Sneak Attack, plays very well off of Flynn, since he is the maneuverer of the RPM team. So if he plays his weaponized morph, then Ziggy right afterwards could play Sneak Attack to immediately perform an attack with 2 dice. So that's a combo potential with this one, especially again with Flynn. Not that the other rangers don't have maneuvers, but Flynn's kind of the big one of the group. Unfortunately, even though this is a reaction, the attack that you perform with the 2 dice cannot target guarded cards. So any cards that are protected by other enemy cards, you can't choose as a target for this attack. The next card in his deck is going to be Chansey Chop, a 0-cost 2-dice attack with 2 shields for defense. Its ability says, before rolling, choose evens or odds. If the number of hit results you roll matches your choice, gain 1 energy and return this card to your hand instead of discarding it. This is a very risky card. Well, I say risky, but at the very least, even if you don't call it right, you still get to do the damage of the dice. You don't lose, even if you call it wrong, whatever you roll still gets applied to the target. But this is just kind of a fun card. I think it's Skull who has this card from the game. They brought it over from his combat deck. They gave it to Ziggy, and he's kind of the perfect choice for it. Very fun risk/reward card. But again, it's not too risky, and because you're always going to do whatever you roll, you're always going to do that damage regardless of whether you called it right or not. And next on Ziggy's list is Warped Strike, a 1-cost 1 dice plus 2 guaranteed damage card with 3 shields for defense. It also has a star ability. Its star ability says, if this card is revealed for defense, add it to your hand instead of placing it on the bottom of your deck or discarding it. Then move your figure to another outer location of your choice. See, this card naturally plays with his teleportation gimmick that Ziggy has. You get to add this card to your hand without discarding it. It's a 3-shield card too, so it still soaks up the 3 damage that you would take. Let's say if you were taking 3 damage, you revealed this card. It takes up the 3 damage that you got, but you can add it to your hand instead of discarding it. And unfortunately, you do have to. It doesn't say you may move your figure to another outer location of your choice. It's written in such a way that you have to move him. It's not necessarily a card you always want to be drawing on the defense, but it still has its uses. If you're forced to move to an outer location, you could always just use Ziggy's ability, discard a card, and go right back to that location that you were in. Sure, you may have to discard a card from your hand to do it, but if it means not losing a card from your deck, sometimes it's better to have cards in your deck than in your hand. So, and it's a If you don't have to use the star ability, it's a guaranteed 2 damage if nothing else, potentially 4 damage if you roll a critical hit with the die. Again, it's another kind of risky one. This one's a little riskier than Chansey Chop, I think. That's only because you have to move your character card. Next is his Nitro Blaster, an X cost 3 dice attack with 1 shield for defense. Its ability says you may divide the damage from this attack among a number of targets equal to the amount of energy spent to play this card. So just like all the other RPM Rangers, Nitro Blaster, you spend 3 energy and you roll, let's say, 4 hits with your dice. You can spread that damage among any of the 3 targets that you chose. The only problem with, the biggest risk, I guess I haven't really touched too much on with the other, when I've talked about Nitro Blaster in my other Ranger coverage videos. The biggest risk to Nitro Blaster is, let's say you do spend 3 energy, but you only roll 2 hits. Then you can't spread 2 hits among 3 different targets. You kind of wasted an energy. So in that sense, it is kind of a risky card. But if you only want to spend 2 energy, or even just 1 energy, just to focus it all on one target, still not a bad card. It's just a little riskier than I initially thought when I was recording the other videos. Finally, Ziggy's power weapon is the Turbo Axe, a 3 cost, 4 dice attack with 3 shields for defense. Its ability says you may play this card in any battle, regardless of location. Move your figure to the location of that battle. If you are already in that location, add 2 dice to this attack instead. So this is a card, if you don't want to use Ziggy's erratic teleportation ability and discard a card from your hand, you could just play the Turbo Axe instead. I mean, it does cost 3 energy, but let's say you were forced to move because of Warp Strike, you use it as a defense, you want to get back, but you don't want to discard a card from your hand, or maybe Turbo Axe is the only card in your hand. Rather than discarding it for erratic teleportation, you may as well just play it, spend the 3 energy, get to roll 4 dice, and move back to the location you were just in. However, if you're already in the location, as it says here, you get to add 2 dice to this attack, so it could potentially be a 6 dice attack, which is never a bad thing. It doesn't do any spread damage or have any extra bonus abilities like that. But hey, even just targeting one enemy with 6 dice, with up to 6 dice, you're probably gonna take it out, whatever card you're attacking, unless it's something like with like 10 health. And now we're gonna talk about Ziggy's Zord, which is Tail Spinner. Its ability says exhaust this card when any ranger enters a new location during a battle. That ranger may draw up to 2 cards and deal an equal amount of damage to an enemy card of their choice. This Zord actually has to be used pretty strategically with Ziggy. You could have Ziggy hang out, maybe not necessarily be at the location at the start of a battle, and he can just kind of hang out on the outskirts, kind of see how the battle's playing out. And let's say the other rangers that are involved in the battle are kind of running low on cards in their hand, they don't have anything super good. And Ziggy could just, use his Zord right here, warp over. Unfortunately, since he wasn't at the start of the battle, he didn't get to draw up to his 5-hand limit. But with Tail Spinner, he can draw up to 2 cards to kind of give himself a couple extra options to work with, and then he'll deal that amount of damage to whatever enemy he wants. Doesn't matter if they're being guarded or not. You have to be careful with this card, because if you use it and draw enough cards that it empties your deck, then you're defeated. So it can take you out. But like I said, you just have to plan accordingly with this card. Let's say you used Warp Strike's star ability and it warped you to another location. You could use Tail Spinner to get yourself right back there, draw an extra card or 2, and then deal the damage. It's a very versatile card. Alright, now covering Ziggy's combat card breakdown, he has 2 copies of Warped Strike, 2 copies of Sneak Attack, 2 copies of Chansey Chop, 2 copies of Trickster, 1 copy of Nitro Blaster, and 1 copy of Turbo Axe. And that makes up his 10-card deck, and that is Ziggy. Next, I'll be talking about his partner in crime, Dylan. I say partner in crime, but they weren't, actually criminals together or anything. But I like their friendship in the series. But anyway, look forward to that. In the meantime, head on over to onceranger.com to check out the full card database, and I'll have affiliate links provided below. Thank you.